Chillicothe Board of Education, roll.
Mr. Hartmus,
Present.
Mrs. Shoemaker,
Present.
Mr. Bonner, Mrs. Corzine, Mr. Mullins.
Present. The meeting is being streamed live and recorded. Our pledge allegiance. Dustin, would you introduce?
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Lakin Charlton. Lakin is a phenomenal student and a tremendous athlete. She qualified for the state cross-country meet this year, which is Division I, and that's a tremendous accomplishment. So Lakin is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was good.
Thank you, Lakin. Congratulations on your season. And your mom made it just in time, so. Everyone has the board agenda, and there was a addendum to the personnel recommendations for this from the superintendent. Any other additions, subtractions? I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hartmus, second by Mrs. Corzine. Roll.
Mr. Hartmus,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemaker,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
Mrs. Corzine, Mr. Mullins.
Yes. Presentations and reception. Dustin Weaver, graduation requirements update.
Okay, so my biggest goal is not to confuse you, similar to my own confusion when it comes to our graduation requirements. Deb, if you would, go ahead and go to that second slide. So I'm passing out a 7-page packet, and if you just follow through with me, you'll get most of the information. First thing I want you to note is how much the graduation requirements have changed for our students over the past few years. 2017 is different than 2018, which is different than 2019, which is different than 2020, so on and so forth, all the way up until the class of 2023, which is our current freshmen, who will be subject to the new permanent graduation requirements. They should last a good 5 years anyway. Currently, our students are subject to the pathways which have basically been in effect for 2018, 19, and 20. And if you look at page 2, you can see that there are 3 primary pathways, 2 of which are very test-oriented, the state test and the national test, ACT, SAT. By the way, we've never had one student in the last 2 years graduate via the ACT or SAT who hadn't already met the state testing requirements. So it's 2 pathways that is in reality 1. And then the middle one there, which I want to focus on quite a bit during this presentation, which is the career recognized industry credential. And basically students have to earn 12 points and 1 career field in terms of credentialing, and they have to pass a work keys exam, which is much less strenuous than the state graduation test or the ACT, SAT. Okay, also for the classes of 2018, 2019, and this year's senior class, the document on page 1 states that they have access to the new permanents, but the new permanents are not even set by the Ohio Department of Education. So we have been advised to not rely on the new permanents for our current senior class, even though page 1 of this document says that they are available to our current seniors. Okay, so I do want to hit on the additional graduation options. That's on page 3. Those options have been available in some form to the classes of 2018, 2019, and 2020. They have shifted a little bit over the past couple of years. There are, in essence, 8 bullets in the bottom left-hand corner of that sheet, which if students struggle to pass the state test or earn a career credential or get a qualifying score on the ACT, SAT, students can use those alternate or additional graduation options. There are 8. Students have to obtain 2 of them. And for your information, the class of 2018 at CHS, 19 of our students graduated because of these options. Last year, 39 students graduated because of these options. And presently in our senior class, up to 53% of our students are graduating via these additional graduation options, which are not available starting next year. Okay, so Deb, if you'll go to the next slide. So graduation requirements for 2021 and 2022 are on pages 4 and 5. And essentially, it's the three main pathways that I've talked about, plus the new quote unquote permanent requirements. Students can pick or choose which way they want to go. Again, the additionals are not available, and potentially because those alternate additional pathways are gone, we are facing a potential significant negative impact on our graduation rate. Okay, next slide, Deb. So I want to hit the 2023 and beyond permanent quote unquote graduation requirements. That's pages 6 and 7, the last 2 pages of the document that I've shared with you. So basically there are 3 buckets for the freshmen and beyond. Those buckets include earning credits, showing competency, and showing readiness. Yep. So the credits haven't changed very much. The state has a minimum of 20 credits that students have to earn to graduate. We have always asked that our students earn a little bit more than that. Presently, it's 21 for the senior class, or Sophie is at 22 for the seniors. It doesn't matter, Sophie, she has more. It may be 22. Starting next year, it'll be, and beyond, it'll be 21. Beyond the minimum credits, foreign English, foreign math, so on and so forth, students have to have instruction in economics and financial literacy. One change with the new legislation is that show choir may now be used, Cavalites may be used to waive physical education. So in place of physical education. So that is the credit.
Could you say that again?
Show choir may now be used in addition to playing 2 seasons of sports, or participating in 2 seasons of cheerleading, or participating in 2 seasons of marching band. Cavalites may now be used as well to waive the physical education requirement. Students who waive that requirement still have to earn that half credit via another course. Okay, it's just a waiver. All right, so that's bucket 1. That's the easy one. The competency is where it gets a little more confusing, and for me, a little frightening, especially if you look at the last option, but we'll get there in a minute. So basically, in order to show competency, students have to do one of 4 things. And it's an or, it's not an and. The first is they have to get a minimum score on Algebra 1 and English 2. And what that minimum score is, we don't know yet because the state hasn't defined it. Okay, it may just be a passing score. It may be a basic score. We don't know. Okay. A second option, which I'm hearkening back to earlier, is that students may earn a career recognized, industry recognized credential worth 12 points. Okay, and I think that's a really viable option for a lot of our students, most of whom are earning that credential right now at Pickaway-Ross. But what is interesting is that many of the programs at Pickaway-Ross actually are not tied to a 12-point credential. So we actually have many students graduating through Pickaway-Ross through the alternate or the additional pathways, not even a career credential, okay? So that's an option. That third bullet there is to complete college coursework. And the thing is, you're not even allowed to take as a student college coursework unless you have scored at a college readiness level. So that first and third bullet basically are one pathway again. If you can't hit the first, you'll have to do the third. And the fourth and final way, starting with our present freshmen and younger students, to show competency is to show that they're competent by enlisting in the military. So that is what's that? That is competence.
I mean, we support
as
that,
defined by the
our
new
students who want to enlist, but
So ODE's guidance is we do not want to force students to enlist in the military. But when you're holding their high school graduation over their head, that's a possibility. But I really want to focus on that second bullet in just a minute. Deb, go to the next slide for me, please. That third bucket is showing readiness. Basically, students have to earn 2 readiness seals on their diplomas. One is defined by the state, and you can see them on page 7, the last page of the packet. And then there are 3 locally defined seals, which students could earn one of as well. So 2 seals total, one of which has to be an Ohio state defined, and one of which can be a local one. Those local ones include community service, fine and performing arts, and my favorite, which is student engagement, which we have the opportunity as a school district to define locally. And the state guidance simply states that if students participate in extracurricular activities, club sports, etc., to a meaningful extent, then that could count for student engagement. But it is up to us to define what a meaningful extent is. Go ahead, Ben. So here are some numbers I want to share with you. So this is the most recent data available from the Ohio Department of Education. Our graduating class of 2016, 40% of our students went to college within 2 years. From the class of 2012, 22% of our students graduated from college within 6 years. That means between 60 and 80% of our students are either not going to college or aren't graduating from college. Okay? Next, 100 of our current juniors and seniors go to Pickaway Ross. That's 1/5 of our students. So despite the fact that 60 to 80% of our students either aren't going to college or graduating from college, only 20% of that 60 to 80 is actually going to Pickaway Ross to learn a trade. Okay? And this year, we are paying Pickaway Ross almost $51,000 for 40 of our students to get that 12-point credential through construction in our building. We're the only school in the county that offers it. It's an amazing opportunity for our students. It's a pathway to graduation, but only 40 of our students can take advantage of it because that individual who offers that program, the teacher, is only here 2 periods a day. Deb? So finally, some thoughts and recommendations that I have. First and foremost, we talk to our students about 2 goals that we have for every one of them. Goal 1 is obvious, graduate from high school. Goal 2 is to set them along their pathway in a way that they're going to be successful in the pathway, whether it's college, career, or military. We want our kids who are going to college to have earned college credit before they graduate from high school. We want our kids who are going career to have an industry credential before they graduate from high school. Can they get it as adults? They can, but it costs thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. So we want to lift or increase our students' life trajectories. And that's part of our second goal that we have for our students. 40% of our report card, and I know that's been a big topic of discussion recently, is up for grabs in terms of these new permanent graduation requirements. That's our graduation rate and our prepared for success component. That's 2 of our 5 components on which CHS and all other high schools in the state of Ohio are graded. Okay? So my recommendations are these. And, in terms of these recommendations, we could make a huge impact on graduation rate, prepared for success, but most importantly, that data on those report cards is just numbers for a lot of people. The biggest thing is we could impact our students' lives and the trajectory in which they're going to live their life and their quality of life. So my recommendations are as follows. First, I recommend that we hire a full-time teacher. And I know that this is not something that we would discuss or decide tonight, but a full-time teacher who can provide a 12-point career credential for our students so that they have that prior to graduating from high school. Okay? That 12-point credential might keep them from enlisting in the military. And it might just be something that would just increase their quality of life. The thing is, this year we're paying $51,000 for up to 40 students. For one teacher, we could impact 120 students. And I think the math lines up very nicely in terms of potentially making that a possibility. And secondly, we need to, and my suggestion is by February, look into these 3 local SEALs, bring them to the board, and get them approved so that this year's seniors, if need be, and at the very least, next year's senior class can use those in order to graduate from high school. Any questions you have for me about all of this information?
If we approve the three local seals by February, how many kids does that impact graduating this year?
Well, again, the state has, on this document, it says you can use them for this class.
Yeah.
But they've said don't count on using them.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to get them into place well in advance of next fall.
What is the 3 SEALs? What would that be comprised of?
The students have to earn 2 readiness seals. One of them can be one of those 3. So one of them is community service, doing a community service project. That's board approved. You have to approve the requirements for that project. That's a locally governed decision. The fine and performing arts has to do with demonstrating skill in that area or those areas. And then student engagement, again, is participation in, and the key word there is extracurricular activity to a meaningful extent.
They have to get two of those three.
They have to earn 2 seals.
2 seals.
One of them can be one of those, but the other one has to be a state-defined one.
Oh,
And the
only
full
one of
list
those
We don't
seals
even
can be
have that
accepted.
yet.
Yeah, it's on your
Actually.
next, to or your last page.
2 of the 3 can't, or both of them can't be from those.
No, you can't have both of them be local.
Gotcha.
That's right. Yeah,
They both can be state.
they both can be state.
What is
But
the
if you want to
state-
go down through the state ones, I can tell you right now, a lot of those aren't hugely accessible.
What,
They're on page 7.
page 7?
Uh,
Okay, so last.
It's the very last page.
Those are the state seals,
The ones that say Ohio in parentheses.
Ohio.
Yeah, just to give you, the seal of biliteracy, for example, most of the way down. We had 3 members of our graduating class last year earn that. It's a global seal of biliteracy. Okay, so 3 students, and those are students who would have already earned many other
Yeah.
seals. The citizenship means that you pass the history and government state exams. It's an and, not an or. The sciences, you have to pass the biology state exam. And there are other requirements, but they're less accessible for even those seals.
What about the Ohio means jobs?
That is one that frankly, we need to take better advantage of. To tell you what that is briefly, it's one sheet of paper that lists 15 job readiness skills, like hard work, loyalty, commitment, so on and so forth. And basically you have 3 individuals sign off on each of those traits. And if you have 3 individuals sign off on those traits, we can go that route and award that to students. I don't know if we've had a student earn the OMJC because we haven't needed it to this point. Any others? Any other questions?
Don't think so.
So the
Not
plan
tonight.
is,
Okay.
once Mrs. Putnam gets back, as the curriculum director, we'll sit down and get some of the stuff reviewed with her, and then take a look at whether or not we want to present any of the 3 local seals to the board for approval in February. We've got some work to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dustin?
Next item, Children's Hunger Alliance, Menu of Hope.
Mary? Montgomery.
Hello. Is this on?
No.
No.
doesn't sound like it.
Just a second. I'll just do it. Just follow his lead. All right, good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to recognize my staff and their outstanding accomplishment. First, let me go into detail on why exactly we are here. The Children's Hunger Alliance is an organization whose sole purpose is to help others fund and find ways to help feed our youth. The majority of their effort goes towards breakfast, but they also help others in programs for after-school and summer lunch programs. This year, Chillicothe City School District has been awarded the Children's Hunger Alliance 2019 Summer Program of the Year. To quote them, Children's Hunger Alliance partners with thousands of family child care providers, child care centers, after-school programs, and schools throughout Ohio to ensure that children in need receive healthy food, nutritious education, and physical activity. Annually, the agency selects an individual or organization in each of these categories who exhibits outstanding dedication and service towards their mission. We are pleased to recognize your efforts, which is an inspiration to others who are deeply committed to and compassionate about helping children reach their full potential. I think I speak for my entire staff when I say the reward is in the doing, and I am privileged to work with those who want to make a difference, want to make an impact in the lives of the community's youth. But I am ecstatic that I have this moment to brag about my staff and the summer help who helps me this summer. And there is no way I could thank those who just worked this summer. I have to thank the summers prior to. Had it not been for their work, this summer wouldn't have been as great as it was. And our summer program staff is compiled of food service staff, bus drivers, student aides, and custodians. It is filled with individuals who take on my crazy ideas and make them reality. These individuals have treated this program as something more than just a job. It's very important to them, and they put real feeling behind their work. They understand the need in our community. These are our frontline workers. During school, during the summer, they see it all and they take it personal. They really want to create an impact and make a difference. They made and they make a difference. So please allow me to recognize those individuals. If you've worked the summer program, can you go ahead and come up and then we'll read off your guys' names. So if you've worked with me, will you come up here now? Let me fill this up.
Can you tell everybody how many meals you served this summer?
Just at 6,000.
6,000 meals this summer. How was that?
So our first summer, we were about 3,000. So we doubled it.
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to read everybody's names to survey just who they are. So Patricia Sanders, Jessica Hess. Thank you very much. Sharon Richardson, Charity Whitehurst, Brooke Shackelford, Diane Davidson, Sarah Holloway, Deanne Price, Jessica Powers, Cynthia Bethel, Nicole Cantrell, Nikki Cantrell, Miranda Burns, Trina Cantrell, Connie Ham, Melissa Gallagher, Mary Montgomery, thank you, Rhonda Mowbray, Melanie Daddy, thank you very much, Lisa Reisner, Nicole Sitka, Amy Baker, Donna Sparks, and Missy Griffey.
You get the responsibility, though. I know. You get the responsibility. That all is involved. Oh, my God.
She does a lot. She cranks out the creative stuff.
It is huge.
It is. It is.
Oh. Oh, yeah, go ahead yeah.
So next we're going to do the FAC teams first piece. Sorry, that's why. Okay, so for the FAC Player of the Year for tennis is Abby Sims Clark. First team tennis is Natalie Drotleff. The FSC Player of the Year for volleyball is Sophia Fulkerson. First team volleyball, Stephanie Hirsch. First team volleyball, Peyton McBee. The runner of the year for cross country is Lakin Charlton. First team cross country, Liv James. First team cross country, Danielle Farima. First team cross country, Caitlin Mauger. Team girls golf, Isabella Fisher. First team FAC Player of the Year in soccer is Addie Erskine. That's okay. First team soccer, Gemma Mamoni. First team soccer, Zoe Ford. First team soccer, Carolyn Ford. And the FAC Player of the Year for golf is Daniel Haller. First team FAC Runner of the Year for cross country is Andrew McCallum. First team cross country, Oscar Mikas. First team cross country, Evan Siberol. First team cross country, Jacob Lidler. First team soccer, Michael Herlihy. First team soccer, Tito Garcia. First team soccer, Brady Wood. First team football is Ray Byers. First team football, Cameron Smith. First team football, Drew Seymour. First team football, Patrick Rourke. Mr. Mullins?
Maybe three.
I always feel like I'm photobombed and, they're taking a picture of him, here's my face.
Look the other way.
Okay, everybody, time to take 10-minute break in the meeting for a reception to honor everyone.
Way to go, Spike.
Okay, we're back in session. Next item on the agenda, visitors and public participation. Would anyone like to address the board this evening? Seeing no one, we'll move on to student liaison report. Sophie?
All right, so this month, I'm focusing mostly on the high school and the middle school and how they have been connecting with the community. And so to start, I'm going to talk about Chillicothe High School. So just some great things are going on between for students. There's great opportunities and also, giving back. So here's what we're doing. The guidance department just received their brand new therapy dog. Its name is Rosie. She was in our school for the first time today. And I do college credit plus classes, so I'm not in the building a lot, but today I was. And during class change, I watched the students go by and just so excited about this dog. So, I think it's a really great opportunity, and it's going to be a really good resource for students to use. Guidance is also in the process of bringing in and donating coats to students in need for the cold months, as well as we just got a brand new, is it called the Calm Room? And so it's a place where students, if they're having just some issues and need a place to just be quiet for a second, they can go in this room and relax. And so one of the action teams, okay, they need the Calm Room. So we have action teams at our school, which is another thing that's going on. And that's during our club period every week. Students can be a part of a group that just does great things for our school, such as like a fundraising group, a PBIS action team, and Mr. Kern's action team implemented the Calm Room. So that's just one really cool thing that guidance is also doing. Sarah Hawthorne is behind a lot of that stuff, and Mrs. Hawthorne is just a great woman. She's doing great things. So a lot of that goes to her and her hard work and everything that she does. National Honor Society is hosting a clothes drive to donate teenage clothes to the Zion Baptist Christmas giveaway. So we're working with the church in that sense, which is great. Student council will be helping at that event. Zion is focusing their whole event to giving clothes to students this year. So kids from newborns to 18 years old. So our schools are really working hard with that, which is great. CHS Mrs. Groff's community involvement team. So that's a class period every single day. They decided that they were going to focus on giving back to the students in terms of clothing. So typically for homecoming and prom, we do Mrs. Hawthorne has worked with getting used dresses for our students to wear so that they feel, beautiful at homecoming and prom, which is great. But Mrs. Groff implemented all clothing and all shoes so that kids at any time when they need clothing can go and visit that and get their necessities, which I think is wonderful. The music department has been very busy this holiday season. They've been in the community at the VA Christmas lighting, and they also go to the Signature Healthcare to Carol, and also they're going to be visiting the 2 elementary schools soon. The concerts are coming up. CMS is on December 3rd at 7, and on December 8th, the CHS Symphonic Choir will be singing with the Renaissance Choir at St. Mary's at 2:00. So that's a really cool opportunity this year as well. So Chillicothe Primary is also working with the community through a JC's toy drive. So those toys will go to JC's and be dispersed into the community for kids to have a wonderful Christmas. And Chillicothe Intermediate School is having Big Brothers, Big Sisters come every Friday. I'm actually one of those bigs, and I know that I have a younger student that I just love so much. So that's a really cool opportunity to bind our schools together. And then also Tabernacle Baptist Church has been opening their building 2 nights a week for CIS students to come. They feed them, they host games, they have options for tutoring and just good conversations. So good mentoring going on there. And Tabernacle has been wonderful for our school district. Each tailgate for the football games, every Friday night, they came and gave free hot dogs, cookies, music, raffles. So Tabernacle has given endless amounts of opportunities to our students. So I think that's a really big thing. And that's just fantastic what they're doing for our intermediate school. So with that, I believe that is it. And, good things going with our school and community together. So
Thank you, Sophie. And if anyone, if you remember the Big Brothers Big Sisters partnership, that's what the keys of success working with Big Brothers Big Sisters. The program has expanded this year and is continuing to grow. And Julie from Big Brothers Big Sisters and Debbie Bettendorf from our side are doing a fantastic job continuing to expand that. So thank you very much, Sophie. Legislative update. Anything, Joy? Okay, thank you. Treasurer's reports and recommendations.
Yes, I'd like to ask the board to approve A through D. And Mr. Music does want to continue for another year.
Okay. Any questions on those?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Harpus,
Second.
second by Mrs. Shoemaker. Roll.
Mrs. Shoemaker,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
Mrs. Corzine,
Yes.
Mr. Mullins,
Yes.
Mr. Hartman.
Yes.
Thank you, Deb. Superintendent recommendations.
I'd like to ask the board to approve A through B.
Any questions on any of these?
I move for that.
Moved by Mr. Bonner, and I'll second it. Roll.
Mrs. Corzine, Mr. Mullins,
Yes.
Mr. Hartman,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemaker,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
Edit them.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Discussion and informational items. Anything? Nope. So board member comments. Mrs. Shoemaker, would you like to start?
Yes, I would. I want to thank Mr. Barron, our athletic director, and his staff. I know how busy from one sport to the next. We had a little sampling tonight to see our young people involved. And, whatever floats your boat, we always have youth there. And maybe as adults or as teachers, we wouldn't care to participate. But that isn't why we're here. It's our youth. Never forget it, folks. Never, never, never. But I did want to give a special thanks to Mr. Barron and his athletic office. We are going to have a playoff game, football, and that doesn't happen to everybody. And that brings in money, sometimes a lot of money. And you know how important that is. So just a special thank you to you, Mike. I'll get around to your office before the new year and say a big thank you personally, because I know that means. And everybody doesn't, are hoping out there they don't get a shot at it. So just from my board member and myself, I thank you. And Monica in that office, she runs a mighty good one. So there again, the holidays are upon us. Don't ask me how they come so quick, because the older I get, the quicker they roll around. But enjoy, and always remember why you're here. None of us would be here tonight or anytime if it wasn't for the kids. And we're here to make it better and more profitable, and their families. And it's kind of like a home away from home. So please, please support and be part of. And it's good you'd like to come to board meetings. It's not always my favorite thing to do, but I'm here. But please, please remember, and the community, you folks don't realize what a good one you got. But I'm telling you, you're mighty fine, and it's not because I'm a part of it. So a blessed Thanksgiving to you all. At our house over the years, and my husband's family, because it was such a large brothers and sisters he had, it was always, I don't eat too many eggs. So that's an old joke. So thank you again, and the participation of many of you that take every day that you enter these halls of learning and appreciate it. Ever stop caring about it. Move on. Move on. Thank you. And a blessed Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Joy. Anything?
Well, just made me think there when Mr. Maker brought the playoff game, this is quasi homecoming for the old West Jeff coach. He got his feet on the ground right here, I think, coaching Mr. Weaver way back in the day. Sean
it?
Fisher is the head
Fisher's,
coach.
okay.
Sean
Yeah.
Fisher was the head coach at West Jeff, been there for quite some time.
I didn't know he was here.
He got his feet on the ground right here, Chillicothe, Ohio. Was he your coach, Dustin? Sean Fisher? Yeah, one of. I thought it was.
West Jeff will travel well.
West Jeff.
They always do.
Like a hard time getting workers after the Ohio State Michigan game.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Anything? There's Jeff. I do have just a couple quick things. First off, I think the board wants to pass on congratulations to two of our employees, Kathy Payne and Greg Phillips, who were elected to city council in this election. Kathy, congratulations. We're looking forward to both of you getting started. Other thing, we've had some questions, and a lot of us have questions about the Drug-Free Clubs of America rally that was held in downtown a few weeks ago, and a lot of people asking why our kids weren't there. We're not part of Drug-Free Clubs of America anymore. That split happened a couple years ago for various reasons. We fully support everything that they do. We have a little bit different mission with our program. Hence things like the Big Brothers Big Sisters partnerships and things like that. I think I can speak on behalf of all the board members. It is our hope in the future that our kids will be invited to that rally. Quite frankly, I think any group or any kids at any school district who have stood up to say no to drugs and are willing to march for it should be invited to that rally. And I hope that the folks with Drug-Free Clubs of America and MAID will invite our kids to participate next year. So if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hartness. Second by Mrs. Shoemaker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.